Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 21 of Vlogmas. I can't believe we're here. I've only got 5 videos to go, including this one, and I've actually already filmed the 25th and it's just like scheduled to YouTube. So yeah, I've got 4 videos to go, which is amazing. So today I'm back in my MäksēLife. So if you didn't watch my unboxing and review video, I will try and remember to link it in the cards, but otherwise if you just go back a few videos in Vlogmas, you'll find it. And just in case you didn't see that, or you don't want to watch it but you want to watch this, the MäksēLife is a mixture of a goal setting system and a planner. So a lot of this front section is goal setting, and then you will use your months and weeks to work on the goals, and then you have a quarterly assessment where you're reflecting back on some of the stuff you did in the early stages, so you can see how much you developed and areas where you still need to make some progress. So that's kind of the broad overview, I guess. So today I'm going to be doing the compass assessment. So you can absolutely do this with me. Please don't feel you have to have the MäksēLife planner, especially if you are a UK planner. I know that the MäksēLife is quite expensive to get shipped over here, so definitely have a look on the MäksēLife website. You can get the free printables. Sierra's amazing and she's put up so much of the planner, so the compass assessment, the annual goals, the weekly goal reflections, the areas of life that you need to that you can consider in each area. Like, so much of this system exists as a free printable, so I absolutely recommend doing this. So I have actually already done my compass assessment. I did it on one of the printables before I had the planner, and I'm going to be copying it in today, which I think makes it a bit easier for me to film it, because it has honestly been such an eye-opening experience. And if I was doing that on camera for the first time, I think I would probably get a little bit emotional, but it's okay. I'm going to be fine because I've already done it. But yeah, so you can absolutely do this along with me. It doesn't matter if you don't have the planner, and I really advise you do, because you're probably going to learn something about yourself. I did, and I think I'm quite self-aware. So I absolutely recommend. So the compass assessment, there's some information here about what it's about, but basically it's a starting point for you. This is the first step in using the MäksēLife system, and it's the first step in you realizing which areas of your life you're doing well in and which areas have some gaps, but you can progress in all areas. It also gives you an idea of which areas you focus on and which you neglect, because if you're not following a system, so the MäksēLife has 8 areas of your life you should focus on, and if you're not actively thinking about each of those 8, you might just focus on one. For me, this is this one, and as a spoiler, you're going to see my score is much higher in that category than any others, because I find work the easy one to achieve in and to prioritize, and I let everything else drop at the expense of that. And this is what's been so eye-opening for me as part of this assessment. So yeah, I strongly advise you do it. So the 8 areas of life that we're going to be looking at are personal, fun and recreation, work and learning, family relationships, health and wellness, spiritual and personal growth, financial and physical environment. What we're going to do is, in each of the areas, we're going to answer some questions, and I'm going to rate myself between 1 and 10. 1 is it does not apply, and 10 is it strongly applies. Then I will add up my score and divide it by 8 and get an average for each area. The average is what I will then mark on my compass, and that will give me a very visual indicator of the areas that I am doing well in and the areas I need to make progress in. And then you will circle a little number to say where you would like to get to. And this is also about, and Sierra's written some really useful stuff here, that it's not about perfection. You're not going to be a 10 in every area straight away. It's about thinking over the course of the year, where could I get to? Where is realistic for me if I make progress in these goals monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually? I hope that makes sense. But the compass assessment guide is available with the printable, so you should absolutely read that before you do this. So I have my Frickson pen. I don't know why I picked that up in my left hand. I'm not left-handed. I'm actually ambidextrous, but my writing's significantly better with my right hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through my answers to each of these questions. As I said, I have already done this, so it will be a little bit easier for me to talk about it, because I did this just before the goal setting workshop that Laken ran a couple of weekends ago. And yeah, it was very, very eye-opening. So yeah, but it's good. It's really good. But it was useful, but it took me ages because I had to think a lot about some of the areas. But you know, your ratings could be different on different days. I thought about redoing this now, but I think I'm not going to do that because where I was feeling on that day, I think is more reflective of how I feel on a normal day, and not when I finish work for the year and I'm feeling like a little bit more myself because I didn't have to work today. So I think I'm going to keep my scores, but you do, I believe, the compass assessment again each quarter, so you can compare yourself. So I will get to do it again. Okay, so let's start with personal. So I'm using, my Frickson erasable pen, just in case I make a mistake, but hopefully I won't, as this is the second time I've done it. So personal, my basic needs are taken care of. For me, I feel that's a 10. The other thing I should say is that the way you rate yourself will be different to everyone else. So it's very individual. Whilst I'm going to take you through my own, it is really individual to each person. So to me, I feel my basic needs are met. I have a roof over my head. I have water, electricity, food, a job, a family. I feel my basic needs are taken care of. But for you, it might feel different. You may not be in the same place as me. So please don't think that your answers are right or wrong if they're very different to anyone else's compass assessment you see. So the second one, I generally feel happy and fulfilled. I've gone for a 6 here because I do generally feel fulfilled, but I don't always feel happy. And that is something I would like to definitely work on. Next one is I have a positive attitude and outlook on life. Here I've gone for a 5. I'm a bit of a funny one with this area. I'm sometimes very overly positive to the point where I think people find it annoying. Like if they're having a bad day and I'm trying to be positive and they want to just vent to me and I'm like, here's the positive in this situation, that I know that people can find that annoying, but that's me trying to have a positive outlook. But on the flip side of it, I can find it really easy to get down and be negative, and that's really an area I want to work on next year. The next one is I give myself grace for my limits and imperfections. I rated myself a 3. Would have been lower at the beginning of 2020. I think I've got better at it a bit, but I hate being limited. I hate that I can't do everything, and I like being perfect, and when I get things wrong, it really stays with me forever. And yeah, it's rough. The next one is I regularly take time for life planning, reflection and self-care. I've given this a 2, which feels a bit low now I'm looking at it, but I think it's to prove to myself I do need to make strides in this area next year. I do life plan a bit, but not as much as I would want to. Reflection, I really struggle with. Okay, yeah, that's why it was low. The next one is I'm comfortable spending time alone, and I gave myself a 7. I actually think I've got a bit worse with this. I used to be absolutely fine spending time on my own, but I think sometimes now, you know, sometimes you can feel lonely and stuff, but in the main I think I feel comfortable spending time alone, but I wouldn't want to be alone. The next one is there are hobbies and interests I engage in regularly. I've gone for a 7 here because that was just hard it's hard with COVID right now. I can't go to rehearsals and do musicals, which is my major hobby. And I know I can't, and that's not my fault, but I don't sing that often. You know, I understand it's out of my control that the pandemic is stopping my hobbies, but it doesn't mean I couldn't do more of them. But I've still scored myself quite highly because I still plan a lot, and that is really my major hobby. And then the next one is there are personal goals and projects that I want to achieve and complete. I give myself a 10 here. I found this one a bit odd to score, but ultimately I bought the MäksēLife, so I feel like I do have goals that I want to achieve. And actually I do think I have goals I want to achieve. Whether I believe I could achieve them or commit to them, I don't know, but the question is there are personal goals or projects that I want to achieve, and I do want to achieve them. So I thought that was a 10. So my overall score there was 50, and then the divided by 8, the average of that is 6.25. So I'm just going to round that down to 6. Then fun and recreation. So the first one is I take regularly planned vacations and or time off. I've put a 5. I think that's a bit high, Catherine. I do take time off. I don't carry that much leave over to the next year. But I feel where I'm, and I have some time off booked for this year. I usually take my birthday off work, so I'm not awful at this. But I feel like at the moment I take leave really last minute with the pandemic, and that means that I always feel burnt out by the time I take leave, rather than being like, oh, you're getting a bit burnt out, book some leave. It's like, you are burnt out, you have to take time off now, and that's not great. The next one is I create moments for rest and rejuvenation. I've given myself a 5, but this is one of my goals for 2021. I do rest more than I've ever rested during the pandemic. If I learned anything in 2020, it's that I actually am capable of rest sometimes, and I found that hard for a long time because it felt like resting during a pandemic is lazy because you're not going anywhere. Why do you then need to sit on the sofa? But the emotional toll of it, wow. Yeah, I need to, you know, this pandemic isn't going away for a while, so I need to keep prioritizing that at least the first half of 2021. Then the next one is I give myself permission to have fun without feeling guilty, and I rated myself a 6. I think I could definitely do more of that, but I do enjoy doing the things I enjoy. You know, I enjoy planning and I let myself spend time on that. The next one is I have fun in ways that serve my highest and best self. I gave myself a 6 for this one. I don't think I understood it at the time, and I still don't think I really understand that one. Yeah, so I think I went for a kind of averagey one. I'm not really sure what that means. If anyone does know, can you let me know? The next one is I reward myself when I accomplish a goal. I gave myself a 4 here because I do reward myself sometimes, but I don't. When I complete a goal, I'll kind of be like, okay, I did it. And like, for example, I finished Race for Life and Stuart had taken my medal and I've just realised I never asked him for it. And I finished Race for Life in September. And, you know, I ran 5k, which I never thought I would do. And I raised like £600 for charity, which I've never done before. And I did celebrate a bit, but not loads. And, you know, I recently got regraded and haven't really celebrated. And I know we can't go out to celebrate, but I could have celebrated at home. So, yeah. The next one is I do things on a regular basis that bring me joy. I gave myself a 5. I don't know if that's maybe a bit low, but I think it's more about sort of, yeah, I think my work-life balance is not great at the moment, and I'm not giving myself, you know, I'm allowing work to sort of seep into the time that should be on my own stuff. The next one is I spend enough time with people I enjoy. I gave myself a 7, which other people would maybe feel is quite high. But like I am not the most social person. I have quite bad social anxiety. And I love spending time with Stuart, and I spend a lot of time with him. I would like to spend more intentional time with him, but I do spend all my time with him. And I have still been able to see my parents. There are definitely people I would still want to see. You know, I haven't really been able to see my friends. I haven't been able to see my work colleagues. But I do see them all the time on Zoom. It's not the same as in person. And I would like to see Stuart's family and my extended family. So there are still lots of people I would like to see, but I don't feel as disconnected as probably other people feel in that area. Then the next one is my social interactions are enjoyable, meaning and fun. And I gave myself a 7 here because mostly they are. Sometimes I let myself get sad or stressed or overwhelmed with social situations, and that's why it wasn't higher. So my overall score there was 45 and my average was 5.625, which I'm just going to put as 5.5, just because that is still kind of markable for me on the assessment. Then work and learning. The first one is I'm enthusiastic and engaged by what I'm doing for my life's work, and I gave myself a 9. I really love my job. It is very fulfilling, although that's the next one is a 9 as well, which is I'm fulfilled by the work I do and believe it adds value. I feel like this is quite easy for me because my job is about helping students, and so it's quite easy to feel fulfilled because you know that sometimes in my job, if I hadn't met that student, they wouldn't achieve. Like, they can achieve, but I help them unlock it. It's not like I do it for them, but if they don't meet me, they don't realise they can do it. And so my job is very fulfilling and I'm valued at work, and that it means a lot. So I feel, I mean, I possibly could have scored a 10 there, but I always feel a bit odd about putting 10s, like in Strictly. My next one is my work is a true fit for my purpose, strengths and personal gifts, and I gave myself an 8. Because I do feel that I have good skills to do my job, but I didn't want to score myself higher because I am taking on more management responsibility and I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for that. Then the next one is I'm contributing to the work the way I desire, and I gave myself a 7 for this, because with the pandemic my job is very different and I don't always feel as fulfilled by what we're doing at the moment, and that is nobody's fault. We are working so hard to still help as many students as possible, but it isn't the same as in person. So I think that score will go up if we're able to go back and work in person even a bit this year. The next one is I have positive interactions at work, and I gave myself an 8 because in the main I have a fantastic relationship with my colleagues and people at work, but you know, sometimes there are stresses and so, you know, you don't always get on with everybody. The next one is I expand my skills through continued growth and development. I only gave myself a 7 for that. I think I was being a bit unfair there. I might up that. I'm going to give myself an 8 because I've been doing my apprenticeship, which has, you know, is like an 18-month project and very ongoing. And I've also been doing like some LinkedIn stuff. I think I probably rated myself a 7 because I do it at work, but I don't do it in my own life. Maybe the 7 was fair. Oh well, I put an 8 now. But yeah, I think that was probably why I put 7, is because I do it very well at work, but not in my own personal life. Then the next one is I have an actionable plan to support the growth and success I desire. And I rated myself a 5, which is maybe a bit low, but sort of fair. Like, I had my appraisal recently and my manager was like, where do you see yourself going? And I was like, I just got regraded. Like, I want to just be where I am right now for like a bit and just enjoy this bit. And this has happened to me before, where my old manager told me I'm not ambitious, and it's really stuck with me, and I don't think it's fair. But this appraisal made me realise, well, it just brought it back when, you know, I'm like, they're like, what do you want to do from this? And I'm like, I just want to be happy where I am right now, just for a short time. But I do worry that that makes me not sound ambitious. I don't know. So that one is like, yeah, makes me a bit sad. Then the next one is I'm curious and eager to learn, and I gave myself a 7 because for me it is a balance of wanting to learn, but also wanting to enjoy where I am as well. There's so much focus on development all the time, and sometimes I feel I would benefit if I could just enjoy it a little bit, just for a minute. If I could just stop for a minute and enjoy everything I achieved, it would be good for me. So I'm actually okay with that score. Okay, so my overall score was 60, but now it would be 61, but I'm just going to put the same, which is 7.5, because I think that that's probably fair. Then the next one, just move up a bit, is family and relationships. So the first one is I'm present with my family, friends and or significant other, and I gave myself a 6. I actually think I've got worse at this in 2020. Like, I feel like I'm on my phone too much. I absolutely hold my hands up, and I want to spend more intentional time with the people I love. I think I've done that well with my parents because we haven't had as much time together. I think I've been really good at like blocking in time to see them and being on the phone to them and Zoom calls as a family. But with Stuart, because we're together all the time, I would still like to have like date nights and stuff, and we don't do that. And then obviously I haven't seen other people, so I feel like growth needed. The next one is I share mutual love, respect and appreciation with my loved ones, and I gave myself a 7, which is probably a bit low. But I think it's hard when you don't really see your friends and family in person as much. It's hard to remember that the score in that one's actually higher. Then the next one is I have healthy boundaries, and I gave myself a 6 because I don't think I do. I think like I try and sort of say to people, this is getting too much for me, and a lot of people ignore that. And I try and be quite self-aware about when I'm about to have a panic attack or have a breakdown, and try and say to people like, I can't do this. And I think people think you're being dramatic, and so I think that doesn't always work. And I don't think I have healthy boundaries at work sometimes. So yeah. Then the next one is I'm free from toxic relationships. I gave myself a 6, which is a bit low. I'm gonna up that to a 7, because mostly I am, but I think I don't really have toxic relationships in that, you know, I'm not in any abusive relationships or anything like that. But negativity, as an empath, I absorb other people's negativity, and I do think that I'm somebody who, because I'm very open and I listen very well, that I attract negativity, and then I just live it and breathe it, and that's not good. Then the next one is I experience vulnerability and intimacy in my personal relationships, and I gave myself a 9 because I think that I'm pretty open with a lot of people, and people close to me, maybe not further out of my immediate circle, but I'm okay with that. And I do think that you know, with Stuart in particular, I'm very vulnerable and talk a lot about my feelings and stuff. Then the next one is I have a sense of community and belonging where I live, work and play, and I've gone for an 8. I found that one a bit odd, but I thought about it more at work, and I feel like I'm in a community, and I have a community of friends, and like the planner community is part of that, so I felt that one was good. Then the next one is I have clarity and peace in the areas I feel I am lacking, and I gave myself a 3. I found that one a bit odd in this category, but I felt it related to the one in personal where it's about I give myself grace for limits and imperfections. I felt like it's a similar question, so rate myself low. And then the last one is I'm actively designing what I want from my relationships. Oh, that's very low what I put there. I put a 2. Oh, I don't think that's fair at all. I'm gonna up it. I'm gonna give myself a 5. Just editing a bit here. I just feel like that was low. I do feel I know what I want out of my relationship with Stuart, and I know what I want out of my relationships with friends and family. I suppose it's the actively designing bit I don't entirely know what that means. Like, I don't necessarily write it down, but I think 2 is unfair. So that would put my score up to 50, which would give me the same score as the top one, which is a 6. So that's gone up a bit. Cool, that's the first section done. Now let's move on to the other side. Okay, the next one is health and wellness. So I take care of my physical, mental and emotional health, and I gave myself a 3 because I don't really. I think I take care of my mental health a little bit better in that I rest a bit more, and I try with my physical health. So I try and work out, but my routines in those areas are disastrous and need significant work. The next one is I eat well and drink plenty of water. I put a 5 because of health and wellness. I feel like that is the area I have made the most progress in. I do try and eat salads, and I do try, you know, I drink more water than I ever did before. So I've really tried. The next one is I get a sufficient amount of sleep, and I gave myself a 2 because I have no sleep routine, and we're so much worse now. Like, we go to bed after midnight, which is, I know it's bad and I cannot break the habit. Then the next one is I have a regular exercise routine, and I gave myself a 4 because I do try with workout classes, but I don't really have a regular routine, and the classes that I do are not coming back until the 3rd week of February, so I don't have a routine anymore, so I need to work something out for the new year. The next one is I have healthy self-image, and I gave myself a 4 because, you know, I don't love my body that much, and I don't like that I don't. I like my eyes and that's about it. Yeah, so definitely progress I need to make there. The next one is I've healed from any stress or trauma I've experienced, and I gave myself a 1. I don't heal from stress. I just don't. I just feel like it's there all the time. There's stuff that's happened that I still look back on, and I still blame myself for stuff I really don't need to blame myself for. And even when I think I've accepted it, it comes back, and yeah, it's bad. Next one is I feel strong in body, heart and mind, and I gave myself a 2 because I don't feel strong in mind. My heart, I don't think is, yeah, this one's hard. This one gets me a bit upset. Then the next one is I'm equipped to handle life's events with strength and vitality, and I gave myself a 2 because I am stronger than I think I am, and I probably could have been a bit higher on that, but this is the area I know I need to focus on, and so I don't want to sort of give myself a higher score there and then be like, I don't really need to work on it, because I absolutely do. And I don't handle them mentally with mental strength. I mean, sometimes I handle things okay, like the announcement on Sunday, was it on Sunday or Saturday? I don't remember anymore. Saturday, I think, about us going into tier 4, and I cried a lot and then went into action, and I bought us a load of food, and I sorted out Christmas dinners for us and for my parents, and I worked through a lot, but I broke down first. So my score there was 2.875, so I'm going to round that up to 3. So as you can see, it is by far lower than the other areas. Then the next one is spiritual and personal growth. So the first one is I've identified what my own definition of spirituality is, and I've given that a 1 because I don't know. I'm not religious, because I wasn't brought up religious. But there are elements of religion that I really like, but there are then elements that I don't identify with. So that makes it hard to know where you sit. And I honestly was like, I actually don't know what spirituality is. I wouldn't even know where to start with that one. The next one is I engage in regular spiritual practice, and I gave myself a 2. I mean, it should really be a 1. I had originally written 1 and then changed it to a 2, but I think 2's a bit... I mean, I think I maybe gave myself a 2 because I like very occasionally do mindfulness, but I want to make that more of a practice. The next one is I invest time and energy into my personal and spiritual growth, and I gave myself a 2 because I want to do it. But then, like, I bought that mindfulness journal to do in December. I did 3 days and stopped doing it. There you go. The next one is my words, thoughts and actions are congruent with my beliefs and values. I don't really know what that means, so I'll leave it as a 4, which is what I put before. If somebody knows what that means, can you tell me? Then the next one is I seek to learn new things about myself and others, and I put a 3 because I often feel like I would kind of like to just be content for a while. But could do more. The next one is I feel clear and connected to what my guiding principles are, and I gave myself a 1 because, again, I don't really know what that means. This area is so bad for me, but whereas health and wellness I know where and how to grow, spirituality I don't as much. So if anyone watches this and has any ideas, like, please tell me. Then the next one is I practice gratitude regularly, which is an absolute 1 and is one of my goals for 2021 because I really needed to do it. And the next one is I found peace and forgiveness where there has been pain and suffering. I think 3 is a bit generous. I gave myself a 3 before, but I feel like it's the same one as health and wellness. Like, I'm equipped to handle life's events with strength and vitality. Okay, no, we'll leave it as a 3 because I maybe deal better with grief, which I feel that one's a bit more linked to than maybe some of the others. Okay, and so my overall score there was 2.125, so we're rounding that down to 2. Yeah, this was so eye-opening when I did it. Then the next one is financial. So the first one is I have financial and economic security, and I gave myself a 9 because being with Stuart actually, it does help this one a lot. You know, we have a house and I have more savings than I've ever had because I've worked really hard on that. It was just one of the best things I did in 2020, so that one I feel is pretty good. The next one is I have a healthy relationship with money, and I gave myself a 6. It definitely would have been lower at the beginning of 2020, but I feel like I am getting a healthy relationship with money, about not needing to overspend, not spending when you're feeling down. Yeah, more progress needed, but I'm getting there. The next one is I spend my money responsibly and live within my means. I gave myself a 6, but I feel like a 7. I'm actually going to give myself a 7 because I do spend within my means and I do spend responsibly. I sometimes overspend a little, but always knowing that I have enough money to do that and I have enough buffer money saved, and like maybe it takes a little bit of buffer money I could have used for something else is the only reason where it's not responsible. Then the next one is I have a financial plan for the future and contribute to it regularly. I've given myself a 7 mainly because I don't entirely understand where my pensions are at right now because I've just been put on a new pension scheme, so that's something I need to, like, I don't entirely understand how they're all going to link together, but mostly I feel I really try with that one. The next one is I believe in my ability to acquire wealth, and I put a 6 because I think I don't believe enough of kind of how much I've achieved and where I'm at and how hard I've worked to get here, and I don't always believe that I can get much higher than where I'm at, and I think that's in part due to where I am in life, but it's something that I think I will get higher in that one in the future, but maybe not this year. The next one is I'm implementing the systems and skills needed to meet my financial goals, and I gave myself a 7, but I think that will go up in 2021 because I'm going to be doing some stuff around better syncing funds, so being a bit more practical about my savings. Then the next one is I've streamlined and automated my financial dealings, and I gave myself a 7 because I don't streamline everything, though that's kind of by choice, but there's probably more that I could streamline in terms of making sure that there's stuff I want to do with Monzo in terms of how I sort it out, and I had a video on that. That was day 5 of Vlogmas, so I talk a bit about that there. So I want to set up my pots differently for next year, and I don't know that I will ever score totally highly in that until Stuart and I, in the future, definitely not right now, are more financially linked. So Then the next one is I have a favourable credit rating, and I gave myself an 8. I don't actively check this, but I know that I pay off my credit card every month on time, so I'm pretty sure that I do. And so overall, my score there was a 7. And then the last one is physical environment. So the first one is my home, car, workplace are clean and safe. And I gave myself an 8. They are not as clean as they could be, but the priority is that they're safe. The next one is my physical environment is free from clutter and excess. And I gave myself a 6. And this is partly why it's not clean. Because there's just stuff. But also we're in a bit of a tricky one with this house where like we don't really have loads of storage space, so it's a very difficult one for us at the moment. The next one is I enjoy spending time in my personal spaces, and I gave myself a 5 because when we got this spare room sorted, I was so happy for a while, and then now I struggle to come up here as much, and I think it's to do with the light because it gets dark so early, and this room has very yellow lighting, and I think it kind of makes me tired and stuff, but Stuart's getting me some white lights, so that might be better. And then the next one is I feel organised. I gave myself a 6, which everyone else would rate me a 10. Like, if you asked any of my friends, the first thing they would say to describe me, they would say organised. But I don't actually feel like I am that organised. Then the next one is I'm up to date on necessary repairs and maintenance. And I gave myself a 6 because we don't really have things that need repairing. And the kind of one thing we did was need the gutters doing, which I sorted this year. But there's kind of stuff around, like there's stuff we want to, like work we want to do in the house, and I would put that in that category. Then the next one is there are physical areas where I can go to recharge and experience comfort, and I gave myself a 6 because I think and it's linked to these ones about mess and stuff, that my depression at the moment means I find tidying really hard, and so everywhere's messy, and so every time I sit anywhere I don't feel relaxed because there's stuff there. Then the next one is my environment support having positive energy, good habits and personal success, and I gave myself a 5, and it's kind of linked to the one above. Also, like, I don't really enjoy working from home, and I have to accept that the working on the kitchen table is not going away. Even when we go back to the office, we're not even going to be able to go back full time, so I have to like learn to live with it. So I think that one is a mental mindset more than anything. And then the next one is I feel supported in the management of my home, and I gave myself a 5. And this is nobody's fault other than the fact that Stuart owns this house and not me. And so I don't manage the house, and I feel like, and Stuart doesn't make me feel like this, I feel like this, is that I can't contribute as much and I can't help as much because I don't own the house. And that goal, I don't think that one, my score will rise until we move, and that is a long way away. Anyway, I feel like I've been quite open and honest in this video. I hope I'm okay with it. So this one I was a 5.875, so I'm going to round up to 6. So there we go. So I gave you a little bit of a hint earlier, but my highest score is work and learning by far at 7.5. I could probably up that to 8 and be happy with it. And my lowest is spiritual and personal growth, and I know that was lowest. This one upsets me more than this one, because to me, like mindfulness and stuff, I kind of link with health and wellness. So even though I think it's bringing this category down, it upsets me more in this category. But this one, you know, I think I struggle to understand it, but there are areas I could still improve. Financial, I'm pretty happy with, and I think that's going to go up in 2021. Physical environment, that area kind of always makes me a bit like, that's the one where I have kind of the most acceptance. But yeah, personal and fun, like fun should be higher. Fun is only a 5.5. So yeah, so that's how you do the compass assessment basically. And then on the life compass, you then mark where you're at for each area, so you can sort of visually see it. So I'm going to do that to give you an idea of kind of how you do it. And you can do this in all different ways. I've seen people do it differently. They shade it and stuff. I don't want like big black blocks because too much of a perfectionist. So personal, I was a 6. I do find it hard to know where you should do it because I feel like that whole section is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I draw the line here as being 6, but it's a bit confusing because it could be 7, but I think that that's right. Then fun and recreation is 5.5, so we're going to draw that like halfway through the 6, and I feel like there it's confusing because then I'm like, is it 6? But I don't know, I think it's okay. And then work was 7.5, so we're going what are we doing? Yeah, we're going to the middle of 8 like that. And then family and relationships was a 6. Health and wellness was a 3. This is just when it feels real. Oh, I didn't even need to look. Spirituality was a 2. Financial was a 7. And physical environment was 6. So there you go. I mean, it's like, it was, I didn't really think my score was that low. When I saw like 2 or 3, I was like, yeah, okay. And then when you look at it like this, it really hit me. So I did do my annual goals after this, and I'm going to do that in a separate video because this video is going to be quite long anyway. But I focused a lot on that area. I may have too many goals there, but if I could do some of those in 2021, I would make progress than where I'm at now. So that would be good. So the last step of this is just to circle a number on each one to show where you would like to get to by the end of the year. So what I'm going to do is, so you just circle the number, which is where you want to get to. So for personal, so I'm currently 6 and I would like to get to an 8. I feel that's realistic. I would hope. But I found that area a bit confusing because it kind of is a bit of a catch-all. But I think I've come up with some quite good goals there. Then for fun and recreation, I'm currently at like 5.5. So I would like to get to a 7 in fun and recreation. Because everyone else is probably like, that's maybe a bit low, but I just don't know how much I'm going to be able to achieve that in 2021. You know, I don't know that I will feel satisfied with my progress. Then work and learning, I would like to get to a 9, which I feel is achievable. Then with family and relationships, I'm at a 6 and I would like to get to an 8. I'm hoping that, you know, just seeing some friends and family would be good. And also I feel like if Stuart and I had one date or night a week, that would just up my score hugely. Health and wellness, I'm currently at 3. And I've put that I would like to get to 7, which feels like a very big jump. And I don't know if I'm going a bit far there. But I sort of want to be aspirational about it because I feel like my life would be so much better if I could get to 7. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it. Because, yeah, as I said, like the majority of my goals are in that area and I think everything else would benefit if I could get higher on that one. Then for spiritual and personal growth, I'm currently at 2 and I would like to get to 5. As I said, this is the area I struggle most with because I don't understand everything in that area. But there's some things I want to do in that area which would be relatively, in some cases, easy for me to implement that I feel would like up my score there. And then financial, my current score is a 7 and I would like to get to a 9, and I feel like that's achievable because a lot of my goals around that for 2021 are achievable. And then physical environment, I'm at a 6 and I originally put that my goal score is 7, which feels like it's not that big a jump, but I feel like that probably is fair because so much of it is out of my control in terms of, you know, how I feel about some of it. I don't know how much I can improve that. If I got a better score than that, I would be really happy. So yeah, so that's it. That's the compass assessment, and I hope that you found this useful to look at. I find them so interesting and I love seeing other people's scores. In the MäksēLife Facebook group, a lot of people share their compass assessment scores and I find that really valuable. So thank you to everyone who shares their goals and information, everything using the MäksēLife, because it's really helpful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And you can also find me over on Instagram at peace.love.plan. I'm hoping to post a bit more about my MäksēLife, so my annual goals and stuff like that. So stay tuned for more days of Vlogmas. Otherwise, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!